Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. India have won the second test in Delhi by 6 wickets and have successfully managed to retain the Border-Gavaskar trophy. They'll be looking to win it, of course, but I think as a starting point, they've done the job in these first two test matches. And like I said in my preview, I'm expecting a 4-0 series victory, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do see India win the next two games. And I think, having said that, this game provided context in two areas. One, of course, India's dominance at home, like you've seen for so long. I think before this series, there was some talk about who was included in the squad, and I kind of thought this as well, where you've got Suryakumar Yadav and Ishan Kishan included in a test squad, where you've got players like Sarfraz Khan who are scoring bucket loads of runs whenever they walk out to bat. And you'd think with the players that are just having substantial seasons and have been having very good seasons for quite some time, you'd think that when will they get an opportunity? And with someone like a Sarfraz Khan going as well as he is, I thought he should have got an opportunity for this series, or should have at least been in the squad. And with all those talking points, like I said, you've got on a given day, three out of the top six, you don't know what you're going to expect from them. So I thought that even then, if you look at what has happened in these two test matches so far, in my view, overall, in terms of the top six, India haven't really got out of first gear in terms of what they've been producing with the bat. It's mostly been the finger spinning all rounders that have resurrected the innings, and the lower middle order has kind of been responsible in terms of producing a rescue act on quite a few occasions in the past few years. And having said all that, you've still got the resources, like I said, for India to win the series. You've got four quality finger spinning all rounders, and you don't even have to play someone like a Washington Sundar, who I think, yes, when he's been in the side, has batted at number 7, but I think with his batting, he doesn't have any obvious weaknesses. And I rate his batting that highly that I actually think he could bat in the top 6. I think he's that good as a batsman. And you've got the other three finger spinning all rounders in Ravichandran Ashwin, Ravindra Jadeja, and Akshar Patel, who unsurprisingly have been doing well with bat and ball. Another brilliant innings in this game from Akshar Patel, a 74, which followed an 84 in the previous game. And that partnership with Ravichandran Ashwin really helped India get back to a slight advantage, really, after effectively leveling out the first innings total from Australia that Australia got. Since you thought, would Australia get anywhere near that in the second innings, it would probably be very difficult for them to do so, and we saw quite a bit of a capitulation in that roughly half a day or so on day 3, which I will get to in detail. And yeah, I think with all those talking points, you've still got a case where India have got all the resources to win at home, and I still do believe they are the best travelling side as well. I've gone through the overseas series in my previous video when I was previewing the series, I think 2 videos ago when I was previewing the series. And yeah, I think, I'm not surprised that things have gone the way they have gone. And the reason why I said also that, it once again reiterates how good India are at home and how good they have been at home is because in these 2.5 days, roughly, there have been 3 pressure points that Australia could have capitalized on to make the game go a different way. The first one being, after being 108 for 4, they recovered to 167 for 4. A partnership between Usman Khwaja and Peter Handscomb that was going well. And from that point in time, while 263 isn't a catastrophic score by any means, like I said, you don't know what half of the top 6 are going to do for India on a given day. So really, 263, with the conditions where there is a purchase for the spinners, you still thought that Australia could put pressure on India. And so that was the first point where, had they got 50 runs more, maybe the things could have been different. They could have gone to the second innings with more of a lead, but at the same time, that probably shouldn't have mattered as much anyway, because they had India 139 for 7 in the second innings, the second pressure point, and India were on the brink, because had the partnership between Ravichandran Ashwin and Akshar Patel ended prematurely, pretend if they hadn't scored a run between them, then you've got Mohammad Shami, who, yes, has played some decent contributions, has given some decent contributions with the bat on occasions, and even scored 37 in the last game. But you wouldn't want him walking out to bat when you're trailing by 124 runs, and then you've got Mohammad Siraj. So it had to be the 8th wicket partnership to get India out of trouble. And they did exactly that. A brilliant partnership between these two. Ravichandran Ashwin has been playing well whenever he's walked out to bat for the past few innings, at least scoring some 20s and 30s and getting India over the line on quite a few occasions. And like I said, a 74 which followed an 84 from Akshar Patel. We've seen his batting in Vaipur cricket, how he has really it's coming to the fore over the past few months, but now we've seen 2 very good contributions in the red ball game as well with the bat, so it's very good on him. And yeah, that was the second pressure point, and even then Australia finished on day 2 at 61 for 1 after a counter-attacking start from Travis Head. And you thought that if they got to even a lead of 200, I mean, you never know, they could have made more of a match out of it. India lost 4 wickets when chasing the target that they had to chase in the end. So those are 3 pressure points in 2.5 days that could have really changed the way the game went for Australia, especially in that last day, for example. And I think that even when India were on the brink, they found the response via 2 players that have been in very good form. And yeah, in the end, they've won this game as well from that position. So really good from India. And on the second point of context, I think for Australia, this performance, especially in the first 2 days, was actually kind of a resurrection from the previous game. I thought with the ball in the previous game, they weren't actually bad at all. But with the bat, they weren't too great. And considering that, they getting to 263 from the start. At the start, if you'd said you'd get to 263, they would have taken it. And even after that, they put pressure on India with a ball. They got them to 139 for 7. And then they got to those stages where they could have enforced those 3 pressure points more. But they couldn't quite do enough to take advantage of those moments or those situations. And in the end, India got back onto slightly more than level terms after their first innings. And in the end, a capitulation from Australia after having a foundation from day 2. They couldn't get... it's the case where if they even couldn't get closer to winning a game after what they did in the first 2 days, then you'd think that it seems quite difficult for them to get much out of the 3rd and 4th tests. And it takes me back to the time when the reason why I'm saying this is because when India were dismissed for 36 in Adelaide, I mean, I'd said before that, look, if you're looking at the dismissals, a lot of them were, I thought the Australian bowlers were too good in the innings, and I thought that many sides would have been dismissed for low. Pretty much every side really would have been dismissed for low scores had they faced that kind of bowling in that innings. But I still thought, with how good the Indian attack is and the Australian batting lineup, it is still a fragile lineup, you could say, outside of Smith and Labuschagne. I still thought that the Indian bowlers are capable of inflicting the exact same damage to Australia. So I frankly wasn't really worried at all. And I'm not surprised that despite the fact that it took heroics in the end, India managed to win the series, because I thought with the raw materials that particular Indian squad had from 2 years ago, I thought that they did have the raw materials to challenge Australia in their own backyard and win the series overall. I thought that they could trounce Australia if they had with the games that they did in those last 3 games really. And yeah, we saw the last 3 games that we did. But if you're looking in this case, for example. It's the fact that you're looking at the raw materials that this Australian side has, and you just can't see that happening. I mean, what they're saying about apparently Josh Hazelwood is out for this series. David Warner won't be available for the next two tests, but he should be fit for the ODIs. And Pat Cummins should be back by the next test, but he has gone back to Australia. And you look at the raw materials in this squad, especially on a batting front, and you think, look, I don't think with how David Warner has gone in the subcontinent, how his test form has been, apart from that double century against South Africa, I don't think it is too big of a loss that they don't have him. But think which player in this side, apart from Labuschagne and Smith, of course they'd rely on Usman Khawaja, who scored the 81 in the first innings, Peter Handscomb that unbeaten 72, and with the way Travis Head was going, counter-attacking when he was opening the batting, they would rely on those. So all for what? Khawaja, Labuschagne, Smith, Travis Head and Peter Handscomb, they have shown that, you know, at some stage that they can cope with the bowling and playing in these conditions. It's just about all kind of a bunch of players clicking at the same time, and they will have to kind of get closer to that 300 kind of score. And yeah, I think Australia will be disappointed because they had resurrected really from the loss from the previous game. I thought they would have been reasonably happy with what they did in the 2 days. Yes, they didn't take advantage of the pressure points, but from what they did in the previous game, it was a substantial improvement, and they had the advantage going into the third day, and unfortunately for them, they couldn't take advantage of that. And that's on that. I think, look, no disrespect to them. I'm not saying this because I want to write them off. I just think that there's... The reason why I said India could come back wasn't only based on optimism, it was based on cricketing theory. I think if you're applying the cricketing theory to here, you just think that there's far too much to do to, you know, you have to just blatantly expect a miracle. And by the way, this series isn't done for Australia because, let's be honest, even if they win one test match, I actually think after these first two tests they'll be really happy with these. Even if they win one test and lose another one, 3-1, when, like I said, you've drawn 1-1 in Bangladesh in 2017. In the June of 2022, you drew 1-1 against Sri Lanka. You lost 2-1 to India in 2017. You've managed to win test matches in the subcontinent, but in terms of winning series, you are still looking to find the formula to outright win a series. So if you win a test match, especially after what has happened in these first two games, and as for the first 2 days of this game, you would have been happy overall with what you did. So you'd still be able to get a positive from that, and it is a learning experience. So I feel like it is a different profile, like I've said, when India go to South Africa or Australia, you think, right, what can they do here? They've got the resources. Let's see what they do from here. When a South Africa or Australia come to India, it is a brutal learning experience, like we have seen. But if Australia win even one game, which will be a huge ask, but if they win even one game, if they somehow manage to draw a game in a very kind of a manner which shows a lot of character, I think they will take a lot of positives from that. So that's on that, really. So that's on this game, and I know that with regards to the Indian side, there have been some talking points over the last two tests or few tests, you could say, and I will get to those in detail in the next video that I post. This video I was covering what happened in this game, but I think that if I had to mention what kind of I thought on the other things, then it'd probably be quite a long video. So yeah, I mean, for now, for this video, I'll be ending this here. I think the next test match is in Indore, and like I said, regardless of wherever they play, the conditions will be the same. India would want to make use of the home advantage, and yeah, I mean, I think they have every right to do so. So let's see what happens in the next game. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Please share it with a friend. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?